médica e consultora técnica da série de TV House. Eu vou conversar com Lisa Sanders. I would love to have such a beautiful doctor.
Oh, you say the nicest things. I heard that about you.
No, but it's true, it's true. I think your patients must look for you even when they don't feel anything. Just to look at you. It's the contrary. Oh, doctor, I just came here to take a look at you. Really, really.
I cure them with my my touch.
Yeah, that's right. And with your looks, too. So you have it in Portuguese. Todo paciente tem uma história para contar. The original title is
Every patient tells a story.
Yeah, and every patient, as House says in the series, every patient lies.
Well, you know,
They lie.
House and I are very different kinds of doctors.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I'm a patient.
And do you lie?
Yeah. Oh, amazing, amazing.
Well, I think that people might lie to House because sometimes he's not very nice.
No.
But I'm nice all the time. People are dying to tell me their secrets.
Yeah, but don't you ever have a patient that sometimes what you ask, they say, yes, yes, but didn't you feel anything else? No, not that I remember. Doesn't it happen?
Well, here's where they mostly lie. I say, have you been taking your medicines lately? Oh, yes,
of
always.
And sometimes it's sad, because I had one patient here, I mean, a person with glaucoma that just didn't put his drops every day, once a day. And if he did it, if he had done it, it would be okay. But I can't imagine why somebody would just forget something so important, so...
Your friend is not uncommon. Most people do not take their medicines. Most people.
Even
50%.
When it's absolutely...
Even when it's absolutely necessary. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to remember to take your pills. It's hard to believe that you're actually sick. You feel fine.
Especially if you had a problem with high blood pressure.
High blood pressure, diabetes, all these things that people just don't feel. Hepatitis, you don't feel it. If you don't get treated, bad things can happen.
I am absolutely hypochondriac, so I feel everything every day. So it's good to be a hypochondriac because you find the things before they harm you.
And a lot of things others that are never going to harm you.
Yeah, well, that's okay, but the balance between the two things is all right. I have somebody working for me that has a problem with high blood pressure, and then she says, no, but I don't feel anything. Why do I have to? I stopped to take the medicine because I'm feeling okay. So what's your specialty?
I'm an internist. That means that I take care of the whole body.
That's fantastic. It's is it what we call in Portuguese general doctor or general medicine?
Well, so
Medicina geral, we say.
in the United States, there used to be something called a general practitioner.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore. That was somebody who went to 4 years of medical school and then did 1 year of training, apprenticeship, and then hung out his shingle and hoped he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
So I have 4 years of medical school and then 3 years of training in making diagnoses. That's what we do. We figure out what's going on with people, and then we send them to subspecialists.
It's more or less what House does, and you are a consultant for House.
Yes. House was based on my column, a column that I write for the New York Times Magazine.
How do you pick all this sickness, you know? I'm amazed. Not even, I have a friend, a very good friend who's a doctor. I said, do you following, and he follows the episodes, and I said, do you discover the same things he does? He said, well, maybe 10%, because the other ones are so hard to know or identified that really it's almost impossible. I took some questions to ask you about, I'm going to read it in Portuguese first. Fibrodisplasia ossificante progressiva. Dysplasia, how do you say, dysplasia?
Fibrodysplasia.
Ossificant progressive, I'm feeling it already.
Oh, but you look well. You look very well.
Okay, so what is exactly this?
I have no idea.
They say it's bones growing inside the muscles, and wow, it's terrible. Also, Wegener's granulomatosis.
Well, that's a very interesting disease. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it starts in your breathing tube, so it can start in your nose or your sinuses or your mouth or your lungs, and these little teeny weeny sores come, then they go to your kidneys, and then you die. Fascinating. But I'll save you.
Thank you.
Because it
Thank
can
you
be
very
treated.
much. Thank you very much. That's what makes me feel very, very well when I see House, for instance, is that 90%, maybe 95% of the time he saves people taking an aspirin or just blowing his nose. Blow your nose. Okay, go ahead. You're right. You're fine now. It's amazing. A physician must be somewhat like a detective.
Oh, I think so. Not all physicians. Your surgeon doesn't have to be a detective, but when you have something and you don't know what it is, you and your doctor have to set out like Sherlock Holmes to pursue the bad guy, identify the bad guy, and put him in jail, or cure him at least. And it's always like that. That is what a doctor and patient do together. The doctor is the Sherlock Holmes in medicine.
You have the most, for me, the most fascinating kind of specialty, because you go after, and what fascinates me is that before all the exams that you can ask, today you can ask a whole, I would say here, a whole battery of exams. But before that, it was very important for the doctor to have almost an extrasensorial ability to find out what was the problem with the patient. Do you think that as long as science progresses, doctors tend to lose a little bit of this ability?
I
don't know if I asked it right, but I think you got what
I think doctors and patients both, we hoped that machines would tell us what we had. Because it just seems more concrete, more real, more likely. But that's almost never how a diagnosis is made. A diagnosis is made here. You figure it out.
Right.
And then you order the test to make sure you're right. That's how it must be.
That's how it should be and how it must be.
That's how it must be. And we've had this long affair, love affair, with technology where we thought it was going to do everything.
Yeah.
It does many things, but it doesn't think. And that's what being a doctor requires.
Yeah, and also science per se doesn't have intuition, which is something that a doctor must have, I think.
Must have, absolutely, must have.
Let me show you a little house diagnosis
Okay.
that I thought fantastic. Vamos soltar trecho aqui.
Down to 38. We don't have a lot of time. Eyebrows, eardrums, pubic hair. Check. We check everywhere. It's not 35. We gotta get it to yes.
You haven't found the tip yet.
We already kidnapped her. You wanna add murder? We've looked over every inch of skin on her body, House. It's over.
Hey, is that the first time you had sex? All the other stuff going on down there, she might not have realized.
Oh. you be more dramatic? Push norepinephrine. Get her heart back to normal. She'll be completely cured by tomorrow.
Huh? That was your idea?
I
No, tell me the truth.
But it's a fantastic disease. And you know what I love about this disease is that he didn't order an MRI, or I'm sure she'd had many by then, CT scans, but the way he found it was he thought it through. He thought, where haven't we looked?
Yeah.
That's how he figured it out.
That's what is fantastic about the series, because it takes us also to a time where the doctor had to do everything. I mean, he couldn't even have access to a scan or to an X-ray, and he had to figure it out, right? And I think that you have that ability.
I write about people who have that ability.
Well, I don't know. How old were you when you started studying medicine?
36. Old.
That's fantastic. And well, how come before that you didn't have the impulse to do it, or what did you do before that?
I was a television news producer for CBS.
I'm scared of you now, really, really. And suddenly you said, I want to be I had that impulse too. I was 50 already, so I said, no, I think it's a little too late.
Never too late.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to start tomorrow then.
Excellent.
So suddenly you said, I like that so much. Why don't I graduate
That's right.
in it?
That's right. You know, here's what really happened is I was out filming something as a television producer with this doctor. And we were filming whitewater rafting. Do you know what that is?
Yes, yes, yes.
And he was the correspondent, Bob Arnott, was on this raft coming down through the rapids, and we were filming him, and I was looking at it on a little monitor, and he disappeared. He just disappeared off the monitor, and the cameraman looking around for him, and he finds him over on the bank, and he's pulling this old woman out of the water. I don't know what an old woman was doing whitewater rafting, but there she was. And he saved her life. And it was, I'd never seen it before. It was like out with the bad air, in with the good air. And he brought her back to life. And I thought, wow, I'm never going to do that as a television producer. And it made me think.
It's so beautiful, really. It's really beautiful. And there's something that we see often on TV. People resuscitating, right? With a few mouth-to-mouth. Sometimes with very ugly persons. I said, I don't know if I would do that. And with some, a little bit of punching.
Yes.
Right? Is it really as common as we see on TV? People coming out.
Well.
And does it affect the heart? When the heart stops for, I don't know, the maximum is 30 seconds or something like that, or more.
Well,
3 minutes.
Yeah,
3 minutes.
You know, most people who need CPR are going to die.
Yeah.
Most people who need CPR are going to die. I mean, not just most, like 51%. I mean, 95% of the
99%.
time.
Yeah.
So, especially if their heart stops. If their breathing stops, that's a little better. That's a little better. But basically, when you need somebody to give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, you better hope you've left your affairs in order, because it's not a pretty sight.
You know that I have a friend who works with me who is also, he's a brilliant writer, and he's also a doctor. And I asked him, if you do mouth-to-mouth, if you do resuscitate somebody, it's okay. He said, well, probably he's gonna die. And I didn't want to believe it, but every time I see it on TV, I tell whoever is watching with me, I say, look, he's gonna die. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for the show to end, and he's gonna die. And you're saying to me that it's really, because it stopped, so something's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if anybody's told you this, but what happens on television doesn't always happen in real life.
Is it so?
And
Well, it depends, because, for instance, you are beautiful here, you are beautiful on the screen, and you are beautiful in real life, too.
Wow.
And what are you going to do tonight? I'm sorry. There is a case here of a girl, I don't know exactly what, I don't know what case it is. The girl that had to take warm baths.
oh, yes.
Yeah, could you tell us about that?
Oh, this was a great case. This was a young woman. She was maybe 25 or 26, and she came to the hospital with vomiting, nausea and vomiting. Wouldn't stop, wouldn't stop, wouldn't stop. And so one of my residents, one of my trainees, admitted her into the hospital, was taking care of her in the hospital. And she looked through her records and saw that she had been in the hospital maybe 20 times with the same thing, throwing up and nauseous. And this is what would happen. She would come to the hospital, she would be throwing up, she would need intravenous fluids because she was so dehydrated, and she would spend her entire first 2 days in the shower, taking these hot showers. She said she only felt okay when she was in the shower. They gave her all these powerful medicines to make her stop throwing up. None of them worked. But when she was in the shower, she didn't throw up. So she spent a lot of time in the shower, as hot as she could stand it. And so finally, when the resident spoke to her, she goes, oh yes, sometimes I come to the hospital because I've run out of hot water at home, and I just can't bear it any longer. And so Amy, the doctor, was thought, oh my gosh, what have I got to offer this girl that all these other doctors who have seen her haven't already figured out? I mean, she was seen by specialists, and she had all these tests. And so she was very discouraged, and did a lot of reading about what to do about nausea and vomiting and what could cause it, and couldn't find anything that fit. So she went to a very important medical resource. She went to Google. And Googled nausea and vomiting improved with hot showers. Boom. The name of this disease came up. It's called cannabinoid hyperemesis. It's when smoking marijuana makes you sick to your stomach. She would come to the hospital. We don't let people smoke marijuana or anything else in the hospital. So no marijuana. It would move out of her system. She would feel better. After 3 or 4 days, she would go home. She felt so good, she would smoke some more marijuana. And then she would come back. So, of course, Amy didn't even know. That was the diagnosis that she came up with through Google. So Amy didn't even know if this woman smoked marijuana.
Did she stop with the pot or no? Did she maintain the habit?
You know what? She did.
Terrible, terrible. Oh, God. And during all this, during the series, there is one thing that really amazes me, is the ability of the actor, who is a fantastic British actor.
Fantastic. Hugh Laurie is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And to speak with no accent at all. He speaks like an American. He doesn't think so, right? He says, oh, it's not so good. I think it's perfect the way he
I think it's perfect, too. I think it's perfect, too. But, you know, he's very modest. I mean, he's this amazing actor. I mean, he's really... The only way you could possibly love House is that to look into Hugh Laurie's eyes, and inside you know there's this complicated, feeling, emotional, soft, squishy person, and with very different from the outside.
Sure, and with a lot of, with a great sense of humor.
With a great sense of humor.
Hugh Laurie, he's an amazing actor, really.
He's an amazing actor.
And you are an amazing guest, amazing doctor, amazing writer. Lisa Sanders, thank you very much to be on the show. Give us a kiss. They love you too. Daqui a pouco a gente volta. Lisa Sanders.